Hey, welcome to the Early Morning Musician. This show is for artists committed to creating in the margins.
Before their day jobs, after the kids are asleep.
From the business trip or the basement.
We get it, and we're going to share everything we've learned along the way.
Welcome to
The Early Morning Musician. Welcome back to The Early Morning Musician.
Welcome back.
Episode
15.
What's the title of this one?
So today we're going to talk about the meanest things that people have ever said to us about what we do. Our art, our music and
instruments,
singing.
I feel like mine primarily are going to be around electric guitar playing.
Because you didn't start singing until...
Yeah, I'm super nervous about that too, by the way. I think about it on a daily basis because it's obviously, when you're recording in the studio, like I get a million tries to make something sound right. And I get to tune things. Like I've got Melodyne, I've got Auto-Tune, I've got Waves Tune. Like I can make anyone's voice sound like whatever I want. And I use those tools a lot.
Ryan became the lead singer of a band before he had ever sang live.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. I mean... I could be terrible. I don't think I am terrible. And I am intentionally taking an approach towards Geraldine that doesn't require me to sing amazing. Like if you listen to the songs.
100%. We don't need like Andrea Bocelli.
Right. It's like raw rock. It's like pitchy. It's lazy. It's vibey and dirty and grungy and has like a lot of effects on it. And that's all very strategic.
It's working.
It's working. It's the right vibe. And thank God that like I had at least enough pipes to like get that done. But like the day is coming. Yeah. When I will take the stage for the first time, and it's going to be crazy.
Yep.
When it's like the first time, like at a show with a band. I guess we'll have some practices before that actually. So like maybe that'll ease the thing.
You've never been bad at anything you've ever tried.
Well, I'm nervous.
Okay.
I'm real nervous about it, but I bet I get some comments after that show that we could shoot this episode again.
And so we shall.
And so we shall.
The meanest comments we ever got after we started playing live shows.
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. What do you want to go first? Like, I feel like you should.
Okay. Here, let me open my notes app really quick because there are so many.
I don't have a ton. I feel like most of the time people are pretty nice to us. I mean, we're not terrible. You know what I mean? We're not horrific at this. We've not been consistent, so we've not had really any real success, but we haven't, we're not, I don't think we're actually bad at this. Tell us in the comments. Tell us in the comments, do we actually suck at this and nobody's telling us?
I think that we used to be, I know that I used to be a less good singer, So, you?
Yeah, but I mean, everyone used to be less good. Yeah. If you keep doing it, like everyone.
Right. I mean, it's been a long time since somebody has told me that, something kind of mean.
Yeah, I mean, I learned how to play guitar like a kid who was born in 92, I guess the internet was made in 1985, but in 92, we didn't have it. Nobody had it yet. So there was no tabs. You couldn't learn how to do anything. I went to the local guitar store and I bought an Aerosmith tabs book because my parents listened to Aerosmith. And I learned how to play Dream On from some weirdo dude. It came with a VHS tape. I put in my VHS tape and some weird dude was like, here's how you play Dream On. And I could only learn the songs on that VHS tape. And I was broke after that. So I played Dream On a lot, that was it. So I wasn't great. The kids today, I'm sounding like an old man. The kids today, they got all the resources in the world and they could shred, but I can't. So
that is kind of true though, because when I was
true.
A kid and I showed an interest in singing, I don't want to age myself here, but we weren't using social media. No, we weren't using social media.
It's such a resource today. And honestly, I'm excited because I think as kids today start learning so early and become amazing, I cannot wait until these kids, when they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're writing these amazing songs because they're better at music than we were. Like they're going to be better at music than anyone in the history of the whole world.
They're better resourced.
They're better resourced, and that's going to be really incredible for music. I'm really excited to hear what they produce. But for me, I'm just going to do the crappy, vibey rock and roll stuff, and I'm going to try and do that until I die. So
I was classically trained a little bit when I was a kid. But it didn't turn out good. You were there. So I started getting like Broadway style voice lessons when I was like 10, maybe.
Whose idea was that? Did you ask for that, or were your parents like, you need to do Broadway?
I didn't.
You're from Northeast Arkansas, and we want to teach you how to sing Broadway. Who did that?
I don't think it was my idea, but I think that I was down. But I remember being like really kind of super resistant to my voice teacher because she wanted me to sing really high. And even when I was really young, I was just like, I don't want to sing that high. And she was like, but you can, so you should. So then I started singing high, primarily up in my head voice when I was a kid. Moved that into singing lessons in junior high. And that vocal teacher was a different vocal teacher who was really into opera. She was teaching voice and, choir at like a really good college where they do that kind of stuff. So she told me, like, don't think about your voice as red, think about it as pink, and train me to do opera.
Yeah.
So then I got really into Phantom of the Opera, started doing classical.
As one would.
Right. Started doing classical style music. And that leads me to where we are now, 8 years ago, when we entered a more professional environment. And I was so surprised to find that people weren't expecting like a Broadway voice.
They weren't looking for pink.
They were not expecting I knew they weren't expecting opera, but if they had been, I could do it.
You would have crushed it.
But anyway.
But they weren't. Instead,
one of the meanest things.
They said mean things.
One of the meanest things, it was the very first thing I heard that like snapped me to reality really quick.
So good.
And I might have said this on another podcast, but it just bears because it was so shocking to me at the time. Said, I don't have any use for your voice unless it changes. And I was just like,
okay, none.
No.
She was like, you can't even clean the bathrooms here. Like, we don't trust you to do anything in this whole place.
I don't have any use for it.
No use.
That was crazy.
That's pretty hurtful.
That was crazy. And I was just like, wow, do I suck?
It wasn't that you sucked. It was just that you were doing something adjacent to what you wanted. You had been training. Don't train adjacent, people. Like, you got to know your lane. Where are you wanting to go?
The sooner you know your lane, the better.
Get in that lane.
Took me a minute.
Yeah. But that feedback led to you.
So let's circle back to that. Why don't you give me a mean one and we'll just go back and forth.
Okay, so I had this set one time. I was playing with this guy named Matt, and he had sent me the set list ahead of time, and I learned the set list. But there were some songs that had more than one electric guitar part. So which is pretty normal, when you're like a hired gun guitar player, they send you the song, and there's like a few different, because when you track guitars, you can track lots of layers. But then when you go to play it live, you pick the main things that people are used to hearing when they listen to the recording.
Okay.
So I showed up having learned what I thought, these are the main parts. There's no other guitar player. Matt was just playing like chords. So I just showed up having learned the main things, and it got to one part of the song, and he was like, hey, do you know the other guitar part? And I was like, oh, no. Oh, and I forgot this part. I had also had the flu the day before, so I was doped up on Dayquil, and I was in outer space, just like, I'm in this room, I'm about to play in front of 2,000 people, and I'm in outer space, and this guy's like, hey, do you know that other guitar part that's in this song that I had literally learned the day before? I didn't know the song before. And I was just like, I don't know it. And he was like, that's okay, we've got the track. So he has the keyboard player pull up the tracks, and he plays it. So he plays it in my ear so that I can hear it. And I heard it, but I was so like doped up on medicine that when they hit stop, it was like I forgot everything I just heard. Like I had no clue what the guitar part was. I could not see straight. And I just kind of like look at my guitar and I'm just like, I just fumble around and it just sounds horrific. I mean, it sounds very bad. And I'm just like, I obviously don't have it. And Matt just kind of like looks at me, like he looks at my guitar and he looks at me and he looks at the keys player and he goes, yeah, we're just going to leave that track in. And then he just turns back around and leads the set. And like the whole band just like looked at me with just like this, just like noob showed up, didn't know his parts. And I was just like, oh, like I'm just sick. And I'm just like, I suck at this. Like I'm not me. I'm not cut out for this. I shouldn't be here right now.
But I love you.
Oh, it hurt so bad. But it was like the best. I gave it 100%, but it wasn't enough. 100% wasn't enough that day. I didn't hit the mark, you know? I played the rest of the songs fine, but of course I didn't care about all the songs I nailed as a musician. That's the song you didn't nail. Though that's the one you take home.
And you never forgot it.
You're thinking about it. I never forget about it. I think about it all the time. Just like his decision, just like looking at me, because like he was there in that moment and he didn't bat an eye. He was like, there's no way this guitar player is going to make me sound bad. Leave the tracks in. Like I was just like playing the rest of the set, just being like, there's a computer playing my parts for me. Like I felt like such a loser. Like when that song came up, I was like, Hey, but on the bright side, the audience didn't know I wasn't playing that part. Like the audience was like, Ryan sounds great. Like he's killing that guitar part. But I'm just really like, like that's not me. That's a computer.
Oh
that's the worst when a computer replaces you.
One of my favorite moments that I've ever had in a set was when there was a track playing a really hard keyboard part and the keyboard player forgot that there was a track playing the really hard part and was just like,
he like held his hands in the air.
And the keyboard was playing by itself.
It was like obvious that there's a piano part playing right now and he just got his hands up.
That was so funny.
That was hilarious.
Okay, so next for me, a really memorable thing that was said to me that hurt my feelings at the time was I was auditioning for something and the person listening to me, I'm just remembering so many things, even as I'm talking right now. The person listening to me said, okay, but have you ever considered working at a Disney park? Because you could make so much money.
Oh, it's like the underhanded, it's the subtleties in there, you know? Like, you should not be doing this. Have you considered what you could be doing?
You can't make money this way.
You're going to be broke.
You could make money cosplaying as
Who?
Ariel?
Ariel?
I don't know.
I was going to say Elsa. Like,
you're right.
If people don't maybe not know this, you know, you had the blonde Elsa hair thing for a while. So
well, I was doing. To be fair, this person didn't know that, but I was doing Disney parties as Elsa.
Yeah, and the thing is they did know that. You know, they didn't have to know that.
They didn't have to know it to know it.
They heard your voice and they were like, she's doing Disney parties on the weekend.
She does birthday parties.
That's how she feeds her family.
And that was
she was right.
And she was right. Anyway, so what about you?
Good one. Okay. So I was playing a set one time and again, you know, they hired gun. They send you the song. They send you the tracks ahead of time. So I'm a good guitar player. So I'm like, I'm going to learn the songs. I went in, listened to the multi-tracks, knew the guitar part. I was like, all right, easy. I learned the set, showed up to play. What was unfortunate about the multi-tracks that they sent me is that they're like, you know, the multi-tracks, I had just the guitar part. So there's nothing else in the track. It's just the guitar part. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you listen to just the guitar part and you don't realize the timing of it in relation to the other tracks around it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like you think the guitar's hitting on a 1 and really it's on an and, which is very different. Mm-hmm. Very different. I didn't realize that. And that was what happened. I had learned this guitar part. I was playing it on the 1, a very important guitar part. I showed up thinking it was played on the 1. And it was actually an and it wasn't just like the first note. It was like all of the notes are all on ands, not ones. And I didn't realize it because it's just a new song for me. I never played it before. So I showed up. I go to play it. Of course, it's horribly wrong. I have no clue. I'm thinking like, I'm destroying this set right now. Everyone's amazed. And it wasn't even a band member. It was the sound guy in the back.
I love it when the sound guy.
Yeah, he comes into my ears. He's like, hey, guitar player. He didn't know my name. Hey, guitar player. You're like, you with the green guitar. Hey, can you make it not sound bad? And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm killing, and it's not in just my ears, it's the whole band's ears. Hey, can you make it not sound so bad?
Everybody hears it.
Everybody hears it. Everyone laughs. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like,
that's the worst feeling, to not know why.
Right. I had no clue. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you're playing that entire part wrong, right? And I was like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, that's it. Like, that is the part. You're wrong. And he was like, no. He's like, all of those notes are on the ands. And I was like, oh no. And then somebody played it again and played it in my ears and I heard it. But it was I had learned it.
Oh, yeah.
I was hearing it a different way
100%. You would have to spend time with it.
I couldn't get out of it.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't get out. And it was like a very fast part. It wasn't it wasn't like I'm strumming like cowboy chords here. Like I'm playing the guitar and I couldn't do it. Like I tried so hard and I just couldn't do it. I totally whiffed it. I tried and it was not good.
I love you,
I played it during the set. It was horrible. I know, Chris, man, if you're out there, if you ever listen to this podcast, please tell me you turned me down. I know Chris, and I know that he probably would have turned me down. Yeah. And I'm just praying, God, please tell me he turned me down, because it was really bad. So that was really embarrassing.
Okay.
Your turn.
See, hearing these stories, I don't know if I've ever heard the details of these stories, so this is really fun for me.
I feel like I've got a million of these. I mean, this is just part of.
I have a million too. I'm literally going through the list, just picking from the bunch at this time. But anyway, one of the really funny ones for me was I was in an audition. You're up there, you're singing the same song as 20 other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to sing it. I'm just going to go up there and sing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to try to sing it well.
Yeah.
So I sing it, and one of the judges stops the whole thing and says, hey, what's your name? And
that's always encouraging.
I was like, Carissa.
Yeah, you don't know who I am.
And she was like, hey, I don't believe you.
Sweet.
And we're auditioning in front of 100 other people auditioning, and like the other singers who are auditioning at the same time as me. And she has stopped the whole thing to tell me she doesn't believe me.
Nice. It's the subjective nature of that. Like,
I was like, oh, okay.
What do I do now?
Okay. And she was like, do it again. So we did it again. And when it was my turn, I sang my part. She stopped it again.
Oh my gosh. 2 stops.
And she was like, I don't believe you.
She's mad.
And there are other judges on the panel, and the other judges are kind of looking at her like, because I'm looking at them.
Like, stop.
I'm like, am I crazy or is this crazy? They're kind of looking. I'm like, okay, I've been in here for like an hour and a half. She hasn't done this to anybody else. So I don't know how many times, Ryan, she told me she didn't believe me.
That sucks.
And I was near tears, and I ended up saying in the mic, I don't know how to make you believe me.
You said that in the microphone.
Because she was saying it so much, and I didn't know what to do.
Oh, shoot.
And so I said, I don't know how
Ma'am, I'm going to need clear feedback than that.
I said, I don't know how to make you believe me. And she was just like, well, you need to figure that out.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay. So
I just would have walked away.
I don't know.
I just would have walked off the stage.
25-year-old me, I barely had my brain fully developed.
Was it though? Hopefully it happened after that.
I couldn't run diagnostics on that.
Yeah.
I never did figure out. Anyway.
Yeah.
You go.
My next one. This next one I feel like is not entirely my fault. Not entirely. You know, I feel like there are some things. If you're ever a hired gun musician, it feels like people literally do not give a rip about what type of situation they put you in. They don't care. Like, they're like, we are paying you to play, so you better play it right. So I show up,
It's your job.
It's my job.
You had one job.
I had one job. But listen, I show up. It's rehearsal time. We rehearse. We were doing the songs. First of all, they sent me the songs way later than they said they were going to. So it's like the day before the set, I get a big set list. They won't tell me which ones we're actually going to play, but they sent me like 10 songs. And they're like, just have all 10 of these ready to go tomorrow, and we'll pick from these. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So I learned 10 songs. I'm up to like 2
in one day,
2 in the morning, learning all these songs. I learn them, right? Because I'm here to do this. I learn the songs. I show up. We're practicing. It's fine. Like, I knew the stuff. I wasn't super confident, but like I knew the parts. I'm playing the parts. It goes totally fine, right? Then like we're literally watching as the screen's counting down. We are 30 seconds until we are about to play. And the guy, I don't know what happened in his world. Something was going on. He looks at that clock. There's 30 seconds to go. He looks at the girl next to him and says, I can't lead this first song. I need you to do it. And it's a girl. And immediately I know, oh no.
We're changing keys.
We have to change the key, and it's a girl key. If there's a guy singing a song and we're moving it to a girl key, we have not practiced. And I've got all these parts. And this song is very partsy. Again, not cowboy chords, guys. It's parts, it's pedals, it's guitar leads, it's loud, and it's like, there was a very specific guitar part. Oh my gosh, it was so bad. It is on the second verse, and it was like so important and loud, and there's like no other instruments playing, and it was my guitar part. And my mind is racing because I'm trying to figure out, all right, if we were in his key and we moved to this key, I've got to move this many steps and like these shapes, change these shapes.
10, 9,
and there's cameras
8,
flying around the
7.
room. Yes, and there's people. The room's packed. It's totally full. And I'm just like, it's that picture of that lady with the symbols and math. I'm doing so much music math. I'm just like, oh, come on, brain. Like, get it out there. And sure enough, like... Oh, it gets there, and I'm so close. I was so close to having it right. I was so close. Oh, but I was wrong. The thing about music is it's like, if you're way off, it's kind of okay. But the problem is I was only half a step off. Which, if you've ever been half a step off from a key and played something, it is the most dissonant sound you can imagine.
It's the devil's interval.
Right. And of course, the guitar note was like, I was playing like it was a super overdrive, like lead guitar tone. So it was like, like it just, the whole room, it just shook the whole room. Everyone was just like, wow. It was so bad. I just wanted to crawl under the stage and die.
Because no one knows.
Nobody in the crowd knows.
The guy choked.
No one knows.
Everybody thinks it's all you.
Everyone thinks it's all me.
All you.
And it's because the guy 30 seconds before bailed on his song, and I'm left here with this guitar lead. Like, keyboard player's like, easy. Like, he just like hits his transpose button, stays in his song. Bass player's like, well, that's easy. I just play one note at a time. Drummer's like, like, I'm totally good. Like, everybody else is totally fine, and I'm over here just like, no. And sure enough, I whiff it. I totally bomb this. And it was the first song of the set. It kills the whole set. I mean, at least for me, I never came back. I never came back to reality. I died on the inside.
I'm crying.
I'm still dead to this day.
What happened in the debrief?
No, here's what happened in the debrief. The guy felt so bad because we were going back through the set list and listening because the set was recorded, of course. They had tracked the entire thing live. So we go back to the green room. We were listening to it. It was the second verse when like the big crash happened when I failed. And so we listened to the song up till the second verse. And as soon as we get to the second verse, he looks over at me, looks at the sound guy and goes, let's skip this one. He didn't even listen to it. He skipped it. Everyone in the room knew why he skipped it. Everyone knew. I felt an intense level of shame. But then, of course, later he caught me in the lobby and he was like, hey, man, he's like, I want you to know that was my fault. He's like, I should not have put you in that position. Like, that was my bad, and I apologize that happened. He's like, I just want you to know, I know that was not you. But no one else was there to hear him say that. Like, the rest of the band, everyone in the room, they didn't hear him say that. I'm like, hey, I appreciate the apology, but we need to go to the front of the building right now, and you need to do this in a microphone.
Sorry, I have an announcement. Check.
Yeah, this was his fault. So it was horrific. It was one of the worst experiences of my life, and I still think about it often.
Oh, wow.
Terrible.
All right, last one for me. I auditioned for something. I felt really confident that I was going to get it. Like, I felt 100% confident. I waited for 2 months or 3 to hear back. And that whole time I was like, this is going to happen. Like, I sent in a good audition.
I feel great about this.
Yes, I was like,
awesome.
that was like, you film it, so it's not like it's live. Like, I knew what I sent in. I was like, oh, this is good. Like, I'm totally going to land this. Like 3 months later, I just get an email.
Oh, so good.
And the email just literally says, thanks for your submission. You are not good enough.
Oh, nice.
But like, if you practice during these opportunities that we have, then you might get better.
Just practice.
So just like the most straightforward feedback, we need more of that in today's culture. We need more of that super straightforward feedback. Guess what? You're just not good enough.
I like it.
I bawled like a baby for days. Like, it was so...
I mean, I feel like anyone would.
It crushed me. But anyway, we're almost out of time. And the reason that we wanted to recap all of those mean moments was not just for laughs. The reason we wanted to recap them is because they made us so much better
every mistake,
than we would have been if we had not had those experiences. Yeah. I came out of those experiences with that particular voice teacher in that particular spot with a completely different voice. It was like
for sure.
It was like I had 2 tools in my tool belt before, and she gave me 15.
Yeah.
It was just like having so much more available. I just had to get crushed in the process and like die to all of my pride and like,
Well, unfortunately for me, if you change the song key into a woman's key 30 seconds before we play it, I will probably still fail today. Like, I don't know. I mean, I tried.
I grew, but you didn't. And that's the moral of the story.
I don't know that I did. Hey, but here's my last one as we wrap up. This is a good one. The other day I posted a TikTok. I was like, I was starting. This
is a good one.
I was starting Ultra Conditional. I had just come up with like, I'm going to do this guitar part. And so I just like posted it as a TikTok. Like, I forget what I even said.
You said, I bet you didn't know that music like this was coming out of Arkansas.
Yeah, I said, I bet you didn't know music like this comes out of Arkansas. And I like played my riff and the sun was shining through. And I was wearing cool clothes. I was like, oh yeah, that looks cool. That's going to be good on TikTok. And literally like 10 seconds after I post it, someone comments on there, keep it. I don't know who that person was, but that was hilarious. I laughed so hard.
We had a good laugh. And that's the moral of the story is once it happens to you enough, you can really just laugh about it.
Yeah, just like be humble, guys.
It becomes fun.
It's funny. We love it.
All right.
So say something funny in the comments.
Yeah.
Bash us.
Like and subscribe.
Bash how she looks.
Thanks for listening.
Just kidding.
Okay, bye.
Bye.